Robyn's Rocket comic. Hi, my name is Robyn. I made this comic. I like art, I love music, I play the trumpet, and I'm autistic. I grew up in Suffolk, but now I live in London. I like experimental music. Experimental music is playing things that are not normally instruments, playing instruments differently and focusing on sounds. I had to learn how to go to gigs, things like how to talk to people you don't know, or how to not make my ears ring after a loud gig, or you don't need to get to the venue when the doors open because bands don't start playing straight away. Things that help me: earplugs for musicians, doors means people can enter the venue, support bands play before the main band. A lot of the bands I saw in mainstream events were white, middle-aged men. Gigs I went to where artists with disabilities were invited to play mostly had an audience of disabled people, so there wasn't a chance for the band to find more fans. Why I created Robyn's Rocket? I wanted to make gigs that I'd want to go to. I want to create gigs that are inclusive conscious. Inclusive conscious means to look who is not in a space, think about and ask for ways to welcome those people, ask for feedback and do what the feedback says. Heart and Soul, a arts charity, helped me develop ideas for showing my work. They suggested a residency, so I started one once a month in the basement of a record shop in South East London. Robyn's Rocket started in the basement of a record shop in South East London called Vinyl. This is a picture of Robyn outside of Vinyl on the right and of what a Robyn's Rocket looked like at Vinyl on the left. Heart and Soul helped me apply for some funding. I got the funding. Funding means money, resources, time, people, and transport. What would it feel like to put yourself in someone else's shoes? What would it feel like to go to a gig, love the music, but it be too loud? What would it feel like to have to leave early because of caring responsibilities? What would it feel like to not have enough money to go to a gig with your friends? What would it feel like to be the only openly gay people in a space? What would it be like to be the oldest person in a space? What would it feel like to not know what security will do to you? What if there wasn't a toilet you felt you could use? What does it feel like to be the only person in a space with a visible disability? What would it feel like to be the only black person in a space? What does it feel like to be the youngest person in a space? What would it feel like to go to a gig, like a band, and go to the merch table, but you can't read any of the info to work out which band's music you want? How we are inclusive conscious at Robyn's Rocket. I think artists with disabilities should be able to play at the same gigs as people without disabilities. Money from merch and ticket sales are needed to help bands and artists pay for rehearsal time and other things. Each artist has a shape and colour on the stage, on the timetable, and on the merch table. Robyn talks to the audience to make them feel welcome. We live stream the gigs. This allows access to people such as carers, people with fluctuating health, and shift workers. At Robyn's Rocket, we give out nice earplugs, lend out ear defenders and sunglasses for people who are sensitive to bright lights or sound. We ungender the toilets. Crew wear yellow crew t-shirts and are friendly. You can talk to them anytime. Rocket badges. Put a rocket badge up if you're happy to talk to anyone, sideways if you only want to talk to people you know, or down if you don't want to talk to anyone, because not everyone finds it easy to read social cues. We have a social story, a document that explains what will happen. We have floor markings so you know where you can stand safely. We give out free pens and provide star-shaped cards and ask for people's positive and negative feedback. Robyn's Rocket is spaceship themed, so you know you're somewhere different. We change things based on the feedback. People said the badges were hard to see, so Robyn explored materials and found shiny card works. We have a timetable for people who need to know what will happen when. We make sure people know it is a relaxed performance. Relaxed performance means that you can go in and out of the space, stim or tick if you need to. You do not have to sit down or stay still. Before you go, do you have any positive or negative feedback on this comic? Please email robyn@robynsrocket.com. Thank you for reading this comic and please share it with anybody you know. Here are a couple of worksheets that might be helpful. Steps to be inclusive conscious. 1. Who is not in your space? 2. How can you welcome people not in the space to the space? 3. Collect feedback. 4. Action feedback. And here's a space for you to write how you will be inclusive conscious. This comic is made by Robyn Rocket. Thank you for reading, and you can find out more about Robyn's Rocket at www.robynsrocket.com.